Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Arks Trash. Today we have special guest Criticaster with me today. Criticaster, do you want to introduce yourself?
My name is CriticasterQ, already mentioned, but you can call me Crit or Caster for short. I stream on Twitch and do videos on YouTube. I've been doing YouTube for about like 2 months now, so not a whole lot on there, but I've been on Twitch for about half a year now, so a lot of good content.
What did you originate from? Like, where did you start in the streaming world, since you said you streamed for quite some time already? So did you just start at PSO2 or did you start from a different game?
I actually started doing like a whole bunch of variety games, just trying to like find my niche, or just just bouncing from game to game, trying to get people. But around by late November or December is when I stuck with Phantasy Star or New Genesis, and that's kind of just where I've been for now on.
All right, pretty cool. And then YouTube, you just started not too long ago, 2 months. How has that journey been going?
Actually been going a lot smoother than I thought it would. You can see a lot of improvement from like my first videos all the way to now. Like I've gotten better equipment, just like gotten used to editing, that kind of thing. But yeah, it's basically all like Phantasy Star guides for now.
Do you have any plans on expanding to anything else, or are you pretty sure that it's going to be, PSO2 stuff? You're pretty dedicated to it.
A lot recently I've been getting like sponsorships for other games like Steam keys, that kind of deal. So I've been kind of like branching out into that front, but I've been basically I'm going to be sticking with New Genesis for the most part as like my main kind of game.
So tell me, how did you get into PSO2? Did you ever play the base game and stuff like that?
I actually started at the very beginning for global, so like even on Xbox, that's where I started. So I've been playing it for a few years now. Had a few hiatuses here and there, just like lulls in the game. But I've been sticking around since the very beginning.
Dang, all right. So what got you into the base game?
It was basically just a free game that was on the Xbox that I saw. I was just like trying to get a few of my friends to play it, and then once I got into it, we just really enjoyed it. But then some of them fell off, and I made new friends, and just kind of like continued the process. Just got addicted,
Fair enough, fair enough. So did you pick ship 3 originally when you just started, or were you like automatically sent to ship 3?
There wasn't like any recommendations when the game first started, so I actually just chose ship 3, thinking like, this was going to be a very popular game. Like ship 1 and 2 were always going to be full. So I was just like, yeah, I don't want to like deal with any queues or anything, so I just stuck with ship 3.
To be fair with you, it was the same with me. Like, a lot of people think that, oh, Carol, you picked ship 2 because you played the JP version of PSO2, da-de-da. I never actually played the JP server of the base game, and I had never even heard of PSO2 until the PC version came out. The only reason I knew about this game was because I saw Cryfu playing it. I don't know if you know Cryfu. He's an OG YouTuber. He quit though, but
Okay.
he would stream PSO2 on his Xbox, and it just looked really fun. Like, he was having a ton of fun. I had no idea what he was doing, but he just looked like he had a lot of fun. I was just like, well, shit, I'll try it. And, the old MMO that I was playing, which was Blade and Soul at the time, was in a really crappy situation. We were baited. We got baited into the sense of, oh, Unreal Engine 4 update is coming out, which is like a huge graphics update. And we waited like 3 years for it, and it never came out until after I quit the game, like a year later.
Jeez.
Then it came out. So they delayed it for 4 freaking years, and I was like, I'm done with this game, screw it. And yeah, that's how I got into PSO2, and I picked ship 2 because my favorite number is 2. So I was just like, okay, ship 2 it is.
Nice.
Yeah, and it just so happened to become pretty popular. So did you follow any content creators when you first started the game?
Actually, no. I just kind of like went into it with friends, so that's just kind of like why I stuck with it. And then like I made an alliance, which I still have today, called Universe, kind of like a play on words with Phantasy Star Universe, because a lot of my friends played that game, but I didn't play that because, just like you, I haven't even heard of Phantasy Star before it. But basically through that kind of like kept me playing, and just kind of like figured stuff out on my own. Like with the augment system, that was like the only thing that I couldn't like figure out, so I had to like look up a few things with that. But yeah, other than that, I didn't really watch anybody.
Funny story is, a lot of people don't know, but when I first started content creation, when I came into the PSO2 sphere of influence, I guess, it took me 6 months, almost 8 months of daily uploads before other content creators realized like, oh, there's this Asian guy covering this game. It took that long before people realized, and that was when I got onto the radar of like, oh, people started noticing, yo, there's this guy called Keroppi making PSO2 stuff. So a lot of people think that, oh, I want to be a content creator, I want to make stuff for this game, but they don't realize that you actually play like the long game. Like, some people blow up, right? Some people get lucky, they make like a fabulous video at the right timing, or you know, they make a really good video or whatever, and people notice them immediately. And then right? But for me personally, you know, I'm not some super gigabrain smart guy, right? I just make daily uploads on stuff that I figure out and think, you know, I'm a player like you. I like to figure everything out myself. I go in blind and then I make all the mistakes. And then when I finally finish something, I'm just like, okay, now I can make a video and tell everyone, these are the things that I messed up on. You shouldn't do these mistakes. And that's kind of my presentation style, right? And so it takes me much longer before people notice like, oh, Caro is here. And you know, as a content creator, it's really difficult and it's really daunting to see a lot of people like, oh man, these guys are so much bigger than me. Like back then it was Anamana, also known as Gemma now. You know, they were really, really big compared to me. I think I was at like 10,000 subscribers when they were at like 40 or 35,000 subscribers. And they were like one of the bigger channels for PSO2 on the global side. And so, you know, I learned a lot from them on how to become a better content creator and stuff.
I believe Anamana or Gemma was like one of the first ones that I watched for these guides, like for stuff like New Genesis with the red boxes when you didn't have like the active sonar. Like I was watching their videos, and that's kind of like how I got into their channel. I think guides are probably like one of the best ways to get somebody to your channel. And then like they're like, oh, this is actually interesting. You know, I watched more of their videos, and then you can kind of like branch out your content, I believe.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Guides is definitely one aspect of content creation. But, you know, for example, if we want to talk about like right now, in the state of the game right now, it's really difficult to just focus on guides unless you have spent the time and like the effort to actually learn the class, the ins and outs. Like even for me, I'm super hesitant to make like an in-depth Braver guide or an in-depth Force guide or whatever, because like there's so many things that if you say like one or two things wrong, people are gonna nitpick and like destroy you, right? And so it's just like, oh man. So I'm super scared whenever I make any like proper in-depth guides, because I'm always scared that, you know, people that actually know their stuff, the ins and outs and all the details and the frame data, are just going to be like, yo, Kara, what the hell? This is wrong. And so it's so much harder and there's so much more pressure when you make a guide, because you're like, damn, I got to like check everything and triple check, quadruple check, make sure that nothing's wrong. And I can't handle that type of pressure, which is why I personally try to avoid guides if possible.
I guess there's always like the rule of like, you know, 90% right, like 10% wrong, then you're basically good.
Yeah,
so like if you're like one or two things wrong here and there, as long as they're not like too glaring or too big, then it's like fine.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. It's, you know, in my case, that's definitely true, because I have the, you know, I have my golden rule of daily uploads, right? So with daily uploads, it's very, very difficult to make sure that everything is 100% perfect before it comes out, because I'm working against the clock, right? I have a day job and then I have this on top. You don't have a lot of time to produce as well as edit and, you know, upload. And then on top of that, recently, I'm sure a lot of my audience has been noticing that I've been upping the thumbnail game as well. So the thumbnails also do take
change, yeah.
those actually take a while to make. It's not as easy as before where I could just put text on a picture and I'm done. Now it's like, oh crap, I gotta like actually, take a picture of myself, green screen it or something, and then post it in and crop everything. So it does take a little bit longer, but I think it's worth it. It's an improvement for the channel. But enough about me. Let's talk about you. So right. NGS, what do you think of it so far, like at the current state of the game?
It's definitely going in the better direction. I feel like they're still kind of missing some marks here and there, but like you definitely can see that they're like making the effort to like try to bring the game back to something that was like for base game when it first started out. Basically they're adding new content more consistently. They're like actually listening to the player base. I think we're actually starting to see some of those changes, like from like the surveys and all of that, like in our recent updates, like all of the quality of life things that we got with the April update. Like when you are doing dread farming, you no longer block the spawns. The photo room, you can finally like take decent screenshots. Some things like that. I think are just like huge.
For sure. So, what changes are you hoping to see, like you personally want to see?
I personally want to see more social activities along with all these like actual, I guess like content. Like I don't know how to put it, but basically I want to see social and like combat activities kind of mingled in with each other. So like casino, that was like a huge thing from base game. I don't know if like they would ever put that in NGS, but like something along the same vein. So I think you've mentioned before, like life skills, so like maybe fishing or like a different thing to mining. Maybe we can get some more resources that way. Like the skill rings, that was also a thing in base game. Maybe that would be an interesting take in NGS to try to like alter our skills. I think in the last Arks strategy you did with Yoshi, I think you might have talked about like the discs. Maybe like we can do crafting with discs again. But yeah, I would like to see dungeons that are not just the cocoons or like blocks, like blocky rooms. I'd like to see the open world being taken advantage of, because that's kind of like the point of New Genesis, I think, is to not be in instances anymore.
Yeah, I agree. I think the stuff that you want align pretty much with a lot of things that I want and possibly what the community wants as well. I do agree that we do need more activities to do, and the activities need to be a little bit, they need to be rewarding, right? So something that I've noticed, at least from my observation on Ship 2, is a lot of people lose motivation when they can't make money. Like if, Deft Farm or Dreadkeeper Farm, if it becomes obsolete and like nobody needs those capsules and they're not making money, people lose motivation and they don't want to do that content. And I feel like this is very normal because, when you invest time into a video game, or especially in an MMO, like people want to see a visual cue of a progression, right? You want to see your Meseta growing, or you want to see a specific number or a specific stat get bigger, like your battle power or something. So it's an indication of the game letting you know, hey, you spent 20 hours doing this activity, here's your big reward. You're actually gaining something from it all. And in the current state of the game, Meseta is a very, very valuable resource because you can purchase stuff from the player market, right? That's how free-to-play players get cosmetic items. That's how you get the pay-to-win capsules. That's how you basically get whatever you want in the game through a very easy and painless process, is buying it with Meseta. And so, what's your take on what the game needs right now to keep players more engaged into the game?
Honestly, I think they need to loosen up on everything being RNG, because like with Retem, like when that released, relics were the big thing, kind of still are like a big thing as an alternative to the Synquem weapons. I personally have not gotten a single relic yet, and I've been doing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours in Retem and have not gotten a single one. Like, it's just like absolutely ridiculous, the drop chance. Like I would say, like, to help the game out a lot is to reward challenge with more consistent rewards. Like I'm fine with there being like these really big, really nice drops because that's kind of, exciting. Like, oh, I finally got the relic. Oh, I finally got this cosmetic. But like, I would like to see more consistent rewards as well. So, kind of like going into the new pyramid or the geometric labyrinth. There's these tria capsules. Like those are nice, but like if you increase the challenge, these tria capsules aren't changing. So like it's almost like what's the point of making it harder on yourself when you can still just earn these tria capsules? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if there was like different tiers to these tria capsules, so like say tier 1 was like the current version of the tria capsules, so you get those from B ranks and higher. And with tier 2s, they might be like 2.5% potency, but like keep the negative on there. And then they would be in A ranks and higher. But like for the best tria capsules, you'd have to S rank, which might be a 2.75% potency or even a 3% potency. So that would be kind of like a consistent reward in addition to these RNG rewards that people would actually like want to go after because they would be now best in slot.
I like that take. I think that take does make sense under the condition that you can upgrade your capsules, right? So let's say that you're not mechanically skilled enough to do an S rank, but you can get A ranks consistently. So maybe if you get 10 of the level 2 capsules, you can craft it to make one of the level 3 capsules so that you can still get best in slot, even though you're not mechanically skilled enough to get, full S rank. If they were under those conditions, I think that would be okay, because I know there are a lot of people, especially from my viewer base, that don't play this game with a group of people or with friends. They actually solo everything. And I can tell you, if you want to get an S rank solo, it's very, very tough. You need good gear. You need really good gear to get an S rank solo. And they should still be accessible if we have like these super best in slot capsules that you need S rank to get. I feel like people who can't get S rank still should have access to it, but in a less efficient way, right?
Yeah, exactly. Basically, you're like saving time if you can do the higher ranks because you're going straight to these tier 3 capsules. But like, yeah, they can just add these into the augment exchange where you can just upgrade them using, random mining materials like quartz or something. And then, these lesser tier capsules.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, speaking about capsules, so with the new region Cavaris coming out like next month, there's a lot of talk about the 6-star weapons and armors, right? There's been an article, I think the Dengeki article from 2 months ago, that said that the 6-star rarity armors and weapons, Sega is thinking about making them account bound. So, you can't trade them, you can't sell them, they're bound onto your account. So what do you think that effect is going to be on the market?
I don't believe they're going to do that to all 6 stars. It's probably going to be something that's like unique to, like, you're probably going to get something like, maybe it's even the Cavaris prep tickets. Maybe we're going to use prep tickets to get some like 6-star that you just can't trade with other people. Or maybe there's some other like currency in Cavaris that will exchange for these new 6 stars. But I feel like if they did that with all 6 stars, that would just completely like ruin the game for a lot of people, because gearing can be like I said just earlier, getting a relic for me, I just haven't done it. It just hasn't happened. So if it's something like there's a 6-star that can't be traded, I can't buy it, and I have to earn it, but it's like super low drop chance, there's just like no way I'm gonna be able to get it.
Yeah, for sure. I think your take is a sound one. I'm actually linking it with crafting. So what I think might actually happen is, like, compared to base PSO2, in base game we had Ziggs, which was the weapon and armor crafter, and basically you could purchase all the different parts on the player market, but you would be able to combine them together in order to craft a better weapon. And I think Sega might just revert back to that and be like, yo, you want your 6-star rarity weapons and armors, you can get them through crafting, which is, you know, anti-RNG, right? Hopefully it's anti-RNG in the sense that you farm for these tokens. Because remember when we crafted stuff, especially our armors back in the base game, we had to run not true profound darkness, the regular profound darkness, in order to farm for those purple crystals. I forgot what photons, no, not photon scales, but no. Pure photons or something? I don't remember.
There are some crystals. You're always getting rocks in base game. I don't remember.
Yeah, but anyway, we had to farm for some special rocks. And then you'd use these special rocks in order to trade for fully made armor. You know, no augments or not enhanced, but at least it was still an armor. And, you know, that might be something they look at. It's like, yo, you know, maybe you can't get your relic weapon, but if you use this method, you can get this currency to exchange for a relic weapon, but it's bound on account, right? I think that would be okay. A suggestion that I made like months ago was relentless training, right? Relentless training is this grueling process to get to the very end. You should be rewarded, you know, a lot at the very end. And my suggestion was, yo, give me like, you know, either a cosmetic item or relic weapon or like a very rare type of weapon, which is bound on account. So you can show it off and flex and let people know, you know, hey, I'm crazy enough to finish relentless training. And yeah, I feel like they should really look into that, of the whole RNG aspect that you said. Because, I mean, you've been playing since release and you've never seen a relic drop, right? And I know a lot of people that have never seen a relic drop either. I'm stupidly lucky to have been able to see 3 relic drops in my, you know, almost a year of playing. But, you know, if you look at it, that's a year of playing and only 3 relic drops. In your case, 0, right? That's
yeah.
What is the chance of that? It's so stupid, right?
Yeah, because veteran farming was like huge in the beginning of Retem, and I've done like, I'm guessing like thousands of them, and like they're supposed to drop it, and then like in combat areas, yeah, it's just like completely insane to me. But with the crafting thing, because you know fixes are, you know, things that can drop or whatever. If it does go to crafting, how are we going to get fixes on this craftable gear?
Maybe if you that's a great question. So there's 2 approaches I can see here, right? The first approach is, let's say that you've crafted a weapon. So let's say it takes 3 components, component A, B, and C. So if you want to put a fixa onto your new weapon, your 6-star rarity weapon, you can have a random fixa on either A, B, or C, and you can just transfer it over. Like how we can transfer fixas right now, but it has to be the same name. You know, just take away that criteria of it has to have the same name, and you can just transfer it over as long as it's one of the components with a fixa. Or what's even easier is when you are actually crafting your weapon in the very beginning, like initially, if your weapon has a fixa on it, if one of the materials does, that carries over to your new weapon, right? I see that as probably the most logical way. However, you know, if we want to think really outside of the box and, you know, go crazy RNG, is when you craft a weapon, like a new 6-star rarity weapon, there is a chance of it being a fixa. So you would have to craft multiple 6-star weapons to get a fixa.
That sounds absolutely terrible. Oh god. Imagine having to get like, oh yeah, you have to get 3 plus 50 5-star weapons, and you have to craft into this thing. You only have like a 0.001% chance of it having a fixa. Have you crafted?
You know, I can see Sega going down that path, being like, yeah, you need to craft this multiple times, but it's bound on account, right? So what do you do with the copies? Well, you could combine them together to guarantee a fixa, right? So if they did that, I think it would be a little bit more justifiable. But I prefer the first idea that I said. It's just like, you know, as long as your base item had a fixa, when you craft it, your new item carries that fixa over. I think that is the most logical and easiest way. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah,
at least.
I agree with you there.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the pyramid. So, you know, how far have you progressed through the pyramid so far?
I've gotten through all of the modifiers. So I would say I've gone through basically all of it. But like I think the pyramid itself is like a good idea. It's like I enjoy it, but like we said before, I don't think you're properly rewarded for the runs that you're doing, and it also doesn't feel random enough, I guess to say. Basically what I think of is like Diablo 3, if you know the different, like, I think they're called Inferno ranks, or, you know, just basically you can increase your difficulty to get, you know, better rewards or higher drops. Basically with those, there are still like these RNG drops that you're going for, but you're also getting way better loot at the same time. So I don't know if you're kind of thinking the same thing here, or...
I was actually, so if we're gonna stick with the Diablo 3 analogy, I was thinking that the pyramid was gonna be like Greater Rifts, you know? So do you remember Greater Rifts from Diablo 3, or?
Yeah, I'm familiar with those.
Okay, so for the chat, or for the YouTube people, YouTube frogs, I guess that's what people call them now. But for my audience, if you've never played Diablo 3, a Greater Rift is a randomized level that gets harder and harder as you progress. So when you start at Greater Rift level 1, everything is, you know, they're pretty easy, and you work your way up until Greater Rift like 100 or 200 or whatever, and everything just progressively gets harder. So they get more HP, they hit harder, but the maps are randomized. So that is the one thing that in the Geometric Labyrinth, it is quote unquote sort of randomized, because you have 6 different floors, but each floor is a, you know, it randomly picks a map layout out of a pool for each floor. Unfortunately, well, fortunately for me, but unfortunately for other people, the layout, if you get a specific layout, the mob spawns are exactly the same. So for the reason I say it's fortunate is because for me, I like to optimize my path. So when I see a specific map layout, I'm automatically like, oh, I've done this before. I know what mobs I need to fight, and I can optimize my playstyle by knowing the most optimal way of how to deal with a specific mob. So I know a lot of people really hate the Brankles. I'm pretty sure you hate Brankles as well, Crit.
For sure, for sure.
And so it's like, okay, we fought so many Brankles, now we know how to deal with it, right? But this is where the game screws you over and throws in a gigantic Brankle, or a the Equalizer Brankle, or whatever. And then it just ruins your day, because you're like, oh god, I gotta deal with the Brankle itself, but I can't kill any of the mobs, so I'm getting zerged. And it forces you to adapt your playstyle to learn how to keep things under control, even though it's pure chaos. So in my personal opinion, I think that the pyramid just needs more layouts. I feel like having a specific layout with the same mob spawn and mob density and everything, that's fine for me, because I don't want it to be super random like Greater Rifts. Because what happened in Diablo 3 Greater Rifts at the very end was, in order to push further and get further and do harder difficulties, people were just running the Greater Rift, and if they see the mob density or the mob spawn type was not correct, they would just quit and re-enter, quit and re-enter. And that doesn't seem very fun, because you're literally just, you know, you're just refreshing the RNG until you get a favorable one, and then you do the run. I don't think that's a good game design for the Geometric Pyramid or the Geometric Labyrinth. I feel like the Labyrinth should be all of the layouts have the same spawns, but there's so many different layouts that it's very difficult to keep track and understand. But if you spend enough time doing it, you naturally get better at it. And, you know, eventually, I guess, you do see all the different layouts. That's my take, though. I want to hear your take.
I guess, like, I would like to see different enemies, because, you know, as you know, the highest level party member is what kind of, like, scales the pyramid. So it makes it sound like Sega wants you to do this pyramid throughout the game as we're, like, increasing our max levels. So, like, at level 60, you might want to go back to the pyramid to do it. So, like, if they change up the enemies in there as well to, you know, kind of compensate for your level instead of just facing the same enemies over and over and over again with just higher numbers. I don't know. At least to me, that isn't as fun. But like I'm fine with it being the same like enemy, like where the enemy spawn is like fine, but like maybe some different enemies would also be good. But yeah, I think floor 3 and floor 6 don't have any variations. Like it's just always the same. Like floor 3 is like the point cube floor. You just go to the 2 separate ways, get the 2 spots, spawn enemies, go do the boss, done. And then floor 6, of course, is just Bujin. I would like to see different end bosses, different like floor 3 mazes, or like different I don't know, kind of like the same platforming kind of deal on floor 3. Make those like unique floors. Like, yeah, this is the platform floor. Floor 6 is the boss floor. The main boss floor. Like, I like to see more changes with those.
Actually, what you just said has inspired me with a different idea. Actually, I was thinking. So, I don't know if you ever did Endless Quest in the base game. Did you ever get a chance to do that, or not really?
I didn't really do it too much. I think I've done it like once or twice.
Okay, so something about Endless Quest that I really liked was each stage is different, right? So you're randomized a layout, but once you get into the layout's exactly the mob spawns are exactly the same in Endless. But something that I really liked was you got to see different scenery. So, you would go in and it's like, oh, you're on a beach, it's coast. And then after coast, you go in and suddenly you're in the underground mines. And then you go to the next stage and it's something else. I feel like that is something that has fatigued a lot of players really quickly. Is like, even though it's different layouts, but it's all, the geometric labyrinth type of theme, right? It's all like VR-ish type of theme with the cubes and stuff. And it's just like, it kind of gets boring on the eyes because you're just seeing the same thing over and over and over. How cool would it be if they change that when the 3rd region gets introduced, or when they update the pyramid, where it's like we actually get different sceneries. So we go in and boom, we're in West Alio, and we go to the next stage and boom, we're in South Retem or something. And like, they can modify the map a little bit so it's a little bit more streamlined, but just have that type of scenery going on so that it feels a little bit interesting, feels a little bit new. And something else I would also like to see is implementing actual boss fights into the pyramid. So instead of going to floor 6 and it's always Bujin, maybe you go to floor 6 and there's like that rare chance where you actually have to fight Dark Falls instead. And you're just like, holy shit, what on earth is going on, right? And like, just have it a lot more random and a lot more, I don't know, inclusive with all the different type of content. So I think that would be really cool. Or maybe just a different game mode altogether. Instead of, you still activate it at the pyramid, but maybe there's one that sees how many floors you can get up to. And, the floor bosses are going to be the same. So at floor 6 is Bujin. And then at floor 12, maybe you get to fight the big guitar guy. And then at floor whatever.
Like the challenge quest?
Yeah.
In this game?
Okay. Yeah. Something like that. That would be pretty cool, right? I think.
Yeah, I would think so. Like, and if they keep it to where you don't need to do like some sort of like trigger or ticket or something to get into it, that would also be really nice.
Yeah.
But like, as like they are, if they do this, like if they keep upping the level, scaling the levels and adding new stuff to it, I'm hoping the rewards also change. Like no longer like trias, or like maybe there's like an advanced tria, I don't know. But like once you hit certain thresholds, so maybe like once we hit 60 with Cavaris and you go back to Pyramid, I would like to see different rewards. Like, keep the cosmetics the same because you still want to try to get those, but like maybe the gold and silver like enhancement materials are upgraded, the trias are upgraded, just kind of like that thing.
Yeah, for sure. I was actually thinking if they do work on the labyrinth and they want to expand on it for rewards, there's 2 different type of rewards, or 2 types of players I personally think there are. there's people who care about cosmetics. So, you know, the Ninja Dash, all that stuff, they do the pyramid because of that content. That's their main driving force. But there's another party that play the pyramid or do content because they want to min-max, right? And for the min-max people, I was thinking have a free-to-play version of the Addy capsules. You know, if there was a capsule that was equivalent to the same power as the pay-to-win Addy capsules, but you could get it through completing the hardest content in the game, like when you get S rank, maybe you have like a 5% chance of getting it. You know, I think a lot of people would be pretty encouraged to do that because they're like, yo, if we get S ranks and there's a chance of us dropping this, and it's not like stupidly low, right? It can't be like, you know, Ninja Dash low, because then no one's gonna do it. But if it's 5%, 10%, you know, you get one in every 10 runs, then I think people will be like, yo, this is good money. Because they're gonna run that, they're gonna get these capsules, they're gonna use it for themselves, or they're gonna throw it on the market. And it's rare enough to still sell for a high price, but it's, you know, it's a goal that a lot of people are gonna try to pursue because they're like, yo, that is, you know, that's good stuff over there. And I feel like rewards is something that Sega definitely needs to look at, right? There's a lot of content and cool ideas that they've thrown into the game, but because the rewards aren't good enough, that a lot of people are just like, yeah, I don't want to do that, right? Like something that I was no, actually, before I jump into that topic, I want to ask you, so what type of player are you? Do you care more about cosmetics or more about min-max?
I guess I do both. I don't know, like, cause I have like a whole bunch of outfits I max out because I have premium, so I use the whole 30 outfit slots that you get. So I like all the different cosmetics and stuff. But I also like being like one of the best, I guess. I don't know, like not the best, but you know, I want to be the best that I can be. That's what I'm trying to say. So like have these higher capsules, but I guess like not absolute min max because I don't have like the deft mine, and I just like don't like doing all the deft farm stuff because I just find that boring. So I usually do like the more challenging things.
Fair enough. I feel like you're similar to me, other than the fashion part. You're a lot more hardcore in fashion than me because, as you might know, I update my fashion once a year. I'm stupidly simple like that. But for the gearing part, right? Like myself, I haven't gone the def mites either. I've done it one for my weapon. That's it. I haven't done it for my armors, and it's because I don't think it's worth the time and the effort that I need to put in order to get those, because I farm for, I want to say 90% of everything that I use, I farm for. And so putting in like 200 hours to just get 3 extra def mites, or like, you know, on my armor, so it's 30 def mites, is not really worth it in my personal opinion, because it's like, what do I gain from that? I gain 30 HP and I gain like a little, like what, 3% damage reduction, because I lose the I basically replace the alt Secreta 3s with the def mites. But that's not really worth my 200 hours, right? With 200 hours, I'd much rather, you know, work on the ship 4 character, or just, you know, grind on something else, make Maceta, whatever. It's yeah, so yeah, I think we're pretty much in the same boat. But what I wanted to ask you next was actually, what do you think about the idea of if they added more progression into our daily activities? So for example, we do a lot of mineral runs, right? Because we need minerals, we need photon scales, whatever, to upgrade our weapons, make multi-weapons. What if we had title rankings which increased the amount of ores that we got from specific minerals? So let's say that on the first day you do your mineral route, you level up to rank 1 of miner, or whatever you want to call it. And then after you do it enough days, you eventually get it to max level 100 or level 20 or whatever. And then at max level, you get double or triple the amount of ores compared to a level 1 person. What do you think about that type of progression?
Like, I do know a few people that still do their mining runs, so I feel like they would enjoy that a ton because that's where they spend most of their time. Because, like you said, the game is all about making macetes. So the way they make their maceta is by doing these mining runs and converting the lower capsules to higher, because the higher ones actually sell more often. Sometimes are even more efficient to sell than the lower capsules. So I would feel like that would be a great addition, like, especially if they do it like they did in base game when they had the mining. Like the mining is a little bit different there, but there was like these achievements where you could either get like bonus items or you could actually get buffs to the mining itself, so like extra rare drop chances to get like rarer minerals. There was like extra drops. There was extra mining, I guess. Like you could do mining more times because it was like free energy or something. But yeah, if they do something like that, I feel like it'd be really good.
It's funny because in the base game, you know how, at least for the audience, you know how we have our regular PSE bursts when we're in combat zones. We actually had PSE bursts for mining and fishing, so the life scaling part as well. After you mined 11 times, on your 12th time, it was guaranteed to proc a PSE burst, which meant you can mine the same spot or fish the same spot as many times as you wanted as the PSE burst was going, and you had a higher rare drop chance of getting the rare fish or the rare ores and stuff like that. And that was, that was an aspect of how people made a lot of money. For some people, some of the OGs, you guys may remember the stir fry. The stir fry was a very potent food that increased a lot of, gave you a lot of potency. It gave you a lot of attack damage. And so what a lot of people did was they went out and they did all of these quote unquote life scaling activities to collect all the ingredients to make stir fry. And they threw stir fry on the market. And a lot of people who just didn't care about collecting ore, fishing, whatever, they're just like, nah, screw that. I'm just going to pay the premium and just get the stir fry, use the buff, do my endgame content or whatever content that I want to do, make Maceta off that to buy more stir fry. And so there was a gameplay loop and there was a healthy economy of, hey, if you don't want to do the hardest content, if you don't want to do any of this and you just want to do life skilling, you can do that and you can make money indefinitely. And it was supporting the players who were doing the endgame content, and they were like, yo, I've got this infinite supply of stir fry, so I'm more than happy to pay these players for the food because I don't want to do that content. And this is something that I think Sega needs to look into and be like, okay, so what type of players do we have and what type of content do they enjoy in PSO2 or in NGS? And so I want to hand this over to Crit. What's your favorite content in NGS right now?
I also, the first thing I do with when they increase the max level is I like to level like every class and kind of like check out like all the new PAs if there are any, or any class skills, and try to like see how each class is like now different. So I'm like one of the rare ones out of the bunch, I think, because I think most people just stick with like their one or two classes and that's about it. So that's what I like to do first. But then like once that is all done, I actually like to, I don't know, I like to do a whole bunch of random things. Sometimes it's like combat areas, sometimes it's purples, now like Labyrinth on occasion. But even then, it's like, I would like to see, I don't know, somewhere in the middle, like where it isn't like super challenging, but it isn't like brain dead, like combat areas. That's what I'd like to see from Sega. So something I don't need like almost maxed out gear for, but something that isn't just going to be just for like leveling.
Gotcha. Yeah, that could be something they should look into. But like, give me an example of that type of content that you're thinking of that's in between like super challenging and brain dead. What type of content are you thinking of?
I mean, I guess like kind of pyramid fits that niche, like if you put it on certain difficulties. But I guess like one thing would be maybe kind of like side missions, but like repeatable ones, like where you actually go into a mission. How you were going to like the gateway ship and actually did a mission in base game, kind of something like that, where you take your friends in, do like an Arks mission or a side mission where you're just doing a specific objective. So like you have to actually like do these things. You have to actually kind of like think a little bit, but you're not also, you know, it's not like super hard or anything.
I was actually thinking, right, what if once we leave planet Alpha, right, so we go to space and then we have like regular rifts, like in Diablo, the regular rifts where it's just, you know, get from point A to point B and you kill everything in between. It's something, a crossover of that and like Destiny 2 expeditions. So it's like you go on your spaceship, you go with your party of 4 people or 8 people or however many, and then you fly to a planet. And then you got to get from point A to point B, and you've got random side tasks. Maybe you go to this planet to collect fuel, for example. And so you got to work together as a team, because it's kind of like, quote, it's kind of like Left 4 Dead, right? Where it's like if someone's carrying the gasoline tank or something, they can't attack. And so people got to protect that person and got to escort them to the end. But maybe the next time you do it, it's like eradication. It's just, you got to hold this position for 10 minutes and there's endless enemies and you got to kill them all. And you go and you queue up for the 3rd time and it's a different type of game mode. I feel like maybe that kind of fits what you're thinking of right now. It's like, it's in between combat zones and the geometric pyramid, but it's like, it's interesting, it's spicy, it's different, right?
It almost sounds like the trials that are in the game, but like a little bit more thought to it than just killing enemies.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think that would be that would definitely be super interesting, because like if we had that type of game mode, I would play that all day. I seriously think that would be my jam, because I really enjoy combat zones. Like combat zones is my thing. Like I can just sit there and mindlessly grind, because that is literally like what I do in like Path of Exile, what I do in Diablo 3, Diablo 2. It's like, yeah, you're just mindlessly grinding, and there's the off chance that you get that really rare rune word, or you get that really rare item or legendary or whatever, right? That's why I'm okay with just mindlessly grinding in a combat zone. But the thing that kind of bogs me down is there are certain things that force me to do content that I don't like, which is like Deafness Farm and Dreadkeeper Farm. Dreadkeeper Farm's okay, sort of, if they fine-tune it a little bit. But like Deafness Farm, I really don't like that type of content. Yeah. Because to me, I get bored of that in 40 minutes. 40 minutes tops. And I'm just like, bro, shoot me now, please. I'm done with this. Because I hate it. I just don't like it. But I have to do it, because that's the only way to get the deafness capsules, right? You can't get it in combat zones. And, you know, I just kind of wished that you could do whatever content you want, however you want, and you can get all the different type of capsules and gear and whatever that you needed. You know, maybe they don't need to put Deafness 3 in every combat zone, you know, but put it in one of the combat zones at least, right? So that I can still farm there for it. But yeah, what about you?
An interesting take on like exploration sectors, to where you can choose whether or not you want to scale it to your level. So like you go to an exploration sector and like say there's like a level 10 there, and then you're like level 40, somebody else in there is like level 32. So for you, the enemies could be like level 40, and then for the level 32, their level 10, their level, but you're all in the same instance. So, but like basically when you're killing enemies, you might be getting a little bit more deafness or whatever else that drops, and then, you know, just a little bit less like as the levels go down. But like it kind of like rewards the players that are like high level still, but it also rewards everybody else in between, or even like on the low end. Yeah,
I mean, that is an interesting take. The thing that I wanted to get at is, I don't want to go to an exploration zone, right? Because I'm tired of that. I do my mineral routes. The thing about me, it's really weird. I love doing my mineral routes. I do that every single day. You know, I'll do it on stream, and then people are just like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, I'm doing my mineral route, because I find that very therapeutic, very relaxing, because I have a destination in mind. Like I'm going through this roadmap in my brain and I'm executing it, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna hit, you know, Makite. Once I finish Makite, I know exactly what path I take. Then I go to West Retem, then I go to North Retem, then I go to South Aleo, then I go to Central Aleo, route up to North Aleo, and that is my entire route. And I can see an end, right, from this entire destination. I'm getting from point A to point B, and I'm getting rewarded because I'm, you know, breaking rocks and collecting fruits and killing tames and stuff. And that to me is fine. But when I can't see the end of the tunnel, and it's just like, yeah, we're just sitting here in West Retem, we're killing, you know, mobs and whatever, and you don't know when it's gonna end. That is when I go crazy. But
didn't you say you liked combat areas though? Are they kind of the same, or are they different in your mind?
The combat zones?
Yeah, like because they kind of function the same way. You're kind of just like killing things endlessly with not necessarily an end in sight.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. What you're saying is true. It's just the way that I see combat zones is I see them in bursts, because in combat zones you work towards a PSE burst, right? And so for me it's like, okay, I feel like doing a combat zone, so I'll do a combat zone and we'll farm PSE bursts until, like, you know, maybe 10 PSE bursts later I'm just like, oh, I'm drained, I'm tired, and then I'll just dip. But the thing about, at least for my brain, right, when I see bright colors and shiny shit and tons of stuff spawning and tons of stuff to kill, my brain is like dopamine rush. It feels amazing. But when I'm in a exploration zone, like, I know with the whole deafness farm strategy, it's basically like constant PSE burst, but I don't know why. Maybe it's the lack of like the big PSE burst with the shiny rainbow thing and all the color overload.
They just need a whole bunch of colorful lights and everything.
Right? Yeah. Maybe it's because it doesn't have that. My brain is just like, wow, this is so boring. Like, I don't know why. It just doesn't feel as fulfilling or as amazing as a combat zone. Like in combat zones, it's kind of like, I don't know. For me, it's like I'm working towards a short-term goal, which is to get the PSE burst. And once the PSE burst happens, like, I'm in bliss. I'm sitting there, everything's spawning around me, I'm destroying everything, and I'm just like, wow, this feels good. And then, you know, it ends, and then maybe you get the encore, and you're just like, holy shit, I got an encore, and that feels great again. But once it ends, you're just like, okay, you know, clear out inventory, relax a little bit, start working towards the next PSE burst. So it's in phases, right? Maybe that's why I feel like it's a lot more bearable, while compared to a exploration zone, there is no end in sight. There's no phase. It's just, yeah, you've got it set up. Everything just keeps spawning. You just keep going, man. Just nonstop. Let's go, baby. Right? I don't know. It just doesn't click in my brain. It's not content that I enjoy.
Maybe what they need to do is add region specific events. So like in Central Retem, there's the Oasis. So maybe like something pops out of the Oasis and everybody just starts running over there and killing this one thing. So maybe like Barbados or whatever from base game. Maybe one of those pops out, like a C version of Venice, you know?
Yeah.
So maybe that would be your excitement that you might look for in exploration zones, but those might, I don't know like how they would exactly do that, like on a timer or maybe just randomly, I don't know.
Yeah.
That kind of sounds like veterans again. I don't know.
Exactly. That's what I'm scared of, right? Because in a previous video, I think it was like 2 days ago, I talked about I compared it with like Lost Ark, where Lost Ark has like this Monster Hunter ripoff type of game mode. And I think PSO2 tried to do that with the veteran mobs as well as the Gigantics mobs, right? Gigantics mob, they used to just, you know, oh, it's storming, oh shit, it spawned this big ass mob and you gotta take it out together, right? Like, they got the idea right, I guess. But the thing was, I didn't have any choice on when I wanted to do that content. And so they released the Devastators, you know, the Aleo and Retem Devastators, where you could use the triggers to hunt down Gigantics. But what I'm thinking is, maybe we could get that type of content in the open field or the open world. so that 32 people can work together. Because with the Devastators or the purple triggers, it's like a 4-man thing, right? It's considered quote-unquote difficult because you go in with 4 people, you got to kill 5 of these gigantics within 20 minutes. And a lot of people are just like, oh shit, you know, I can't kill all 5 and blah 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 blah. But if they were in the open world and it was just like, yeah, there's no time limit, there it is, just beat it up, you know, farm for the gigantics. That's nice. I would like to see that be a little bit more accessible, other than, oh look, it's a, you know, it's a storm, or it's a sandstorm or rainstorm or whatever, and it spawned. I want to see it a little bit more organized, you know? Like, let's say that you want to hunt down veterans, then there's like a queue or something. There's like matchmaking where you can just queue up with people. You go into like a room similar to like the geometric pyramid, and it's like veteran boss rush. There's like 20 veterans. You go from room to room to room to room, and you just kill bosses constantly. That would be fun because then there's no downtime. You're not wandering around. It's just, there's a bunch of bosses. You go kill them all, easy. And in the for the gigantics, maybe again you matchmake and then you go into a big open field. Maybe you spawn in central Ritem, and then it's like, oh, there's 4 different bosses in this one zone now, 4 different gigantics. So you got to work together as a team. You got to go kill the first one, then move to the second one, third one, fourth one. Once you complete all 4, then that's mission complete. Then you can just warp out or whatever, and you can re-queue and do it again. But the thing about all of my ideas is it goes against the whole NGS concept of, yo, this game is open world. Because I'm so used to instant type games, you know? I've been playing Diablo. I've been playing, what was that game called? Soul Worker. I'm used to, Maple Story. You know, all of these games are kind of instance-based. And I've just been so conditioned to expect games with instant type of stuff. And so, you know, I gotta ask you, what do you think they should do?
I mean, we could, like, cause I guess it kind of goes with that side mission idea, kind of is like what it sounds like that you're trying to like go for. Like, there's just like these instance missions that you can just take a group of whatever amount and just go in and do it. Like, cause with the expeditions, you can do up to like 12 for those. So like that's like a good like mark. But like maybe as a different take, like after you kill a certain amount of veterans in a room, or maybe like after doing a certain amount of trials, there's this like super trial or super boss that just like spawns. Instead of it being tied to RNG, it just is tied to kills in the room. So maybe that would be something that makes exploration zones more spicy, but also doesn't leave it purely just to chance.
Yeah. I feel like that idea is very reminiscent to Destiny's 2 heroic banners. Like, there would be a random trial, you do it, but if you did it a specific way, it would proc like a special cutscene, and like an heroic trial would appear, and that's like a special boss would spawn, a special event would happen, and I think that would be really cool. Like, okay, if we scrap all the ideas I just said, and we just stuck with what you said, it was like, okay, exploration zones are exactly the same how they are now, but when there's the trials, you know, the T's that happen, if you just hunt down those trials, maybe you do 10 of them, and then something special happens, something different happens. Maybe the map changes, or a boss spawns out of somewhere, and you gotta take it down, and you get like huge rewards for it, right? Like, I would be okay with that. Like, you know, let's say that they change West Ritem. Instead of deafness farming the way that we're doing it now, like, you can still farm like that, but if you hunt down all the T's, maybe you get a PSE burst in the exploration zone where everything just kind of spawns right next to you, but you're grouped together with 32 players, right? So you're blasting through everything, you're obliterating everything, but a lot more mobs also spawn at the same time. And at the very end of that PSE burst, you get a Giga Boss, you know? Maybe You know, maybe not Dark Falls. That's kind of crazy. Dark Falls popping out of nowhere. But like, you know, maybe the guitar guy comes out, or the worm, Renus Retem comes out, right? And you're just like, oh shit, you know, now you got to take them out, right? And it's like a boss version with an HP bar and everything, and the music changes. Like that would be really cool, right?
Basically, a UQ that can be triggered based off of like what you do in the exploration zone.
Yeah, that would be really fun.
Yeah, just doing a UQ with like 32 people instead of 8.
Yeah, exactly. And the best thing is, like, it doesn't require much coordination, right? You can just be like, yo, everyone come into this room, we're gonna be doing this, right? And it's easy enough for everyone to understand. It's like, yeah, we're just going to the T, whatever the T wants us to do, we do it, and then we keep doing this until the big bad boss spawns. And then once they spawn, you just beat the crap out of it until it dies. It's a super easy to understand concept and easy to execute. So it's not super complicated where people get really anal about like, oh, you're not doing it optimally, blah, 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 blah. Because like, I'm sure you've been in a couple rooms like that where it's like, people are getting mad at people about, oh, you're not doing PSE bursts right or efficiently. Oh, you're not farming deafness efficiently or whatever. And you know, it sucks when that happens, right? You're just like, bro, come on, man. We just want to have a good time, but now you know, you kind of ruined the whole vibe of the room and stuff like that, and it just sucks. So I want something that's just like super dead simple to understand. It's just like, yeah, this is all you gotta do, and you can do it however the heck you want because it's like impossible to mess up, right? And that would be so cool. That would definitely get me interested into exploration zones because, you know, I could just run in with my alliance, but, you know, I don't expect 32 people of my alliance to be online at any single time. That's wishful thinking. Maybe I get like 10 people, right? And then the other 20 so people, I'm just like, yo, randoms, come in. You know, maybe I live stream, I tell everyone, yo, we're in room whatever, no password, we're just gonna join and we're just gonna beat the crap out of these bosses. And that would be a very fun way for me, because then I could quantify it, right? For me, it would be segments, like what you asked me earlier about the combat zones versus exploration zones. You know, with combat zones, you had the PSE burst that you were working towards. If they had that in exploration zones, then I would be like, yo, you know, I can see a goal. I can see the end coming when we get that PSE burst. It's like, yo, let's go, right?
Yep. I'm just wondering, like, how we can differentiate combat areas from exploration zones. Because if you start making exploration zones too close to combat areas, and it's like, what's the point of the combat areas?
Maybe the drops are different. The item drops are different.
Maybe that could be the case. Like, because I wouldn't say like have like PSC burst and exploration zones. I think that should be unique to combat areas. But yeah, have these like super big events that can happen through like these trials.
Yeah,
like everybody can get excited for.
True. Like it's same concept, right? If we, instead of PSE burst and exploration zones, you do the 10 trials or whatever, and then a big boss spawns, a 32-man raid happens, right? Like, I think that's perfectly fine as well. That also satisfies my need of like, I need to see an end goal in mind, because I'd be like counting down the T's that you complete, right? You're like, oh, 9 more to go, and then you know, when the boss spawns, you're like, yo, everyone, let's go, and you just beat the crap out of it. Okay, so yeah, is there anything else that you want to talk about, Crit? I'm out of ideas here, I think.
I don't think we actually talked about what's coming up next month, or like the headline or anything, like any ideas of like, because we already know, you know, because we got spoiled with the mining rig. Retem, we're getting that as our UQ. What do you think about that?
True. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not the biggest fan of mining rig. I don't really like defending things, because I know that my monkey brain, as well as like a lot of players that I play with, we're so aggressive that we just want to like spawn camp enemies, and then we just forget about our base getting destroyed, and then it sucks. So because of that, I've always placed myself as babysitting duty. So I just camp the tower. I just sit there twiddling my thumbs while my team is going bloodthirsty rampage, destroying everything. So mining rig, it's okay. It's not the end of the world, but I really wished it was like, something crazy, right? Like a Dark Falls, or like, you go to the pyramid to the top floor and there's like a pharaoh mummy king or something. Like, I was really wishing something wacky, something crazy out of this world. But it's mining defense, so it's okay, I guess.
Yeah, they definitely have to change it up from Alios, because Alios is just like almost like a flat land. They're just sending enemies at you that you've kind of been facing the entire time. It's kind of neat with like the cannon where you can just kind of like fly around and then start shooting big blasts and destroying enemies. I feel like they needed to add more on these kind of like epic kind of like scenarios. Definitely don't make it 8 waves. 8 waves is way too long. I hate that so much. It takes half an hour to do one UQ. It's terrible. But just like make a whole bunch of like epic moments almost each wave. Like maybe the first 2 waves are kind of just like whatever, you're kind of like building up your points, kind of like building up anticipation for the later waves. Like maybe like 3, 4, and 5 each have like separate bosses, like main bosses. So like 3 is kind of like the mini boss, 4 is like the right hand man, and then the 5th wave is like this big, enemy. But I would also like to see, because there was like the mech, the AIS mech in base game. I would love to see that again. I doubt we'll get it, but I would love to see that.
I'm actually pretty hopeful that we will get AISs, but not yet, not with the Retem Urgent Quest, obviously, or the mining base, but I think we will get AIS when we go to space. I'm like almost guaranteed that we're gonna get that AIS stuff, because it's such a important part of the whole Arks thing. Like when we go to space and exploration and stuff, I don't. Like how are we going to defend the ship if we don't have AIS? What are we going to do? Freaking use our laser cannon that takes up like 30 minutes to charge? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me, right? But yeah, for sure. So when the mining base comes out, where do you think it's going to be? Which region in Retem?
It's most likely going to be in the south. South Retem, because we've already seen mining rigs there. Like they're kind of like half destroyed, but I'm guessing maybe story reasons where we repaired them, because like maybe Rennis was kind of like camping that area since it was kind of close to McKeed. So maybe we're able to repair those, maybe get those up and running, but then the dolls are all coming out and trying to destroy them again, so we have to protect them.
Interesting. Yeah. So I had a crazier idea. I was thinking, what if the mining rig defense was in McKeed? So, when you climb up the entire volcano or mountain or whatever, at the very top, right? It's kind of like a donut. I was thinking, if that is where the mining rig is, and you got to defend on the top, and there's just hordes and hordes of dolls climbing up the mountain towards you, and when you look down, you just see this impending doom. And then when you destroy all of that stuff, like Rennis Retem pops up from the middle of the donut, and you're just like, wait, what the hell? You gotta fight it now.
Yeah, that would be great. I feel like they won't do that though.
Yeah,
I feel like McKeed is too complicated of an area, I guess, like with that donut and everything. It'd be kind of hard to stick 3 mining rigs up there if that's what they're gonna do.
Yeah, I agree, but I still think that would be a funny.
Yeah, it would be fun. Yeah.
Oh god. All right, so what about the new region? What do you think about, or no, let's talk about the headline first. What else do you think is going to come out in the coming NGS headline?
You're probably going to see the final elemental weapon, dark weapons, come out in May. Because I don't know if you've noticed, but basically it's the trend of like every 2 months we get an elemental weapon. So like dark is just going to happen. I'm guessing, because on the roadmap, there was this limited time UQ that we were supposed to get. I'm guessing that was supposed to be with the dark weapons, but we're no longer getting that since the Retem UQ got pushed back and kind of just like knocked it out of place. But yeah, we'll probably get dark weapons. It'll probably be 5 stars. Probably the last thing we'll see before Cavaris comes out. But I don't know if like they're going to be used too much, because I think the only things that are weak to dark in the game are Renisfera and Dustful Vera. So I don't know how useful they will be, unless if we see dark weakness in Cavaris.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm thinking is, obviously it's gonna be a seasonal event, right? I'm thinking that May is gonna be the seasonal event, is gonna be the 1 year anniversary, blah blah blah, and then that is when the dark weapons are gonna be useful because everything's gonna be weak to dark, right? But after that, yeah, I do agree that they don't have a very long shelf life. I think after you finish using the dark weapons, like we're jumping straight into Cavaris. And once we're in there, you're gonna be upgrading to 6-star rarity items. So yeah, the original thought that I had that was like really wacky was, imagine if you saved up the weapons, all the elemental weapons from past seasonal events, and you could combine them all into a 6-star weapon, into like a rainbow damage weapon.
Did anybody even like keep the earlier elemental weapons though? Like, are people gonna be able to do that? Like with the ice and the lightning ones?
I actually have all the weapons, but But the thing is, there were certain series that didn't have a katana for me. So like, there wasn't a katana for fire, and for the current light one, there was no katana variants. But I have been keeping all the old weapons. Just for, I don't know, for collection's sake. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would laugh. I would find it so funny because people would be like, yo, like, I bet you maybe 2 or 3 people on the entire server would actually have enough weapons to create this stupid rainbow weapon. And then
Oh god. I mean, there's probably a whole bunch on the market, but they'd be eaten up real quick if that was a thing.
Yeah, I think that would be... It's a stupid idea. It would never happen. But I still think it would be pretty funny. Like, I like the idea of having a rainbow weapon. I really like that idea. Where it's like, this weapon is every element. And it just automatically adjusts to whatever you're hitting. Like, whatever it's weak to, it will change to that element. Yeah, I think that would be dope.
There would have to be some sort of drawback to that, like...
Yeah, like probably low damage. Yeah, I'd say low damage most likely. Yeah, but damn, that'd be pretty cool. So, of course, we got to talk about Cavaris. So, what are you expecting from the new region?
Well, there's a big difference from what I'm hoping and what I'm expecting. Right?
Okay, let's talk about what you're hoping first. What you're hoping.
Okay, hoping first. I'm hoping that it's not another Daily over 10, like, kind of just copy paste. Here's a new region. Here's the same stuff. But like, I'm hoping we get something almost immediately that's like unique to it, because now we're getting the class skills. So that's gonna be nice. But to the region itself, I'm hoping there's some sort of mode that's like Labyrinth, where it's like something completely different that we can do in Cavaris. Like, it's not just another go inside a building, look at a whole bunch of block rooms and kill stuff. I want it to be something completely new, because I think they're kind of going along that track, because there is the snowboarding thing. I don't know if they're going to just leave it as like a mode of transportation, or if they're actually going to do something with that, but I would like to see something with that snowboarding as like an actual mode, or even put it in like a UQ or something. That would be like amazing, like escaping an avalanche, like just snowboarding down. Like if you're too slow, you get caught up into it and get killed or something. I think that would be really cool. But what I'm expecting is, yeah, just copy paste. Here's a yellow battle dia. Here's a purple one. Here's 10 more skill points. You do the story. Probably not gonna be, super great. You kill big bad, maybe, and that's it. That's what I'm expecting.
Damn, you have low expectations.
I mean, like, okay, honestly, from what we saw with the little teaser, I think the story is going to be better this time around, because it looks like we're actually going to get a Dark Falls-ish enemy. Like, not Dark Falls like the UQ we just had, but like there's like these different Dark Falls, like in base game or other Phantasy Star games, where there's like a Dark Falls Persona, Dark Falls Elder, etc., etc. So I think this one is very reminiscent of Dark Falls Elder from base game. So I'm thinking we're starting to see some of the main villains here. So I'm hoping the story is a lot better this time around.
Yep, I agree. There's a lot of potential for the story. I really hope that they take this opportunity. Like, they've had a year, right? to flesh out the story, to actually give us stuff. I'm hoping that in the third act, or the third Cavaris, that we find out more about, you know, Aina gets some character development. We find out more about Manon, why is she acting so sus? And right, she's hella sus. We just need more info. They did say in the lore, or the interview, I think it was a Dengeki interview and a 4Gamer interview, where the Cavaris used to be the old capital of planet Halpha, but it was overtaken by dolls, and that was why we moved to Central City. And so I'm hoping that we get to find out more about like the old city, like why did the dolls attack it? You know, maybe there's more information about what the hell the dolls are, or who the main bad guy is, and stuff like that. I'd love to see more information about that, more world building. Like there's nothing about the world right now. Like, what do we know about planet Alpha? It's a planet. That's about all we know.
Yeah, we just exist when we're killing stuff. That's basically what it is so far.
Yeah, but, like we definitely need like a lore dump or something, right? Whether it be through written stuff like around the world, where we have to explore the open world to find documents to get more information. Like, that would be fine too. Like, they don't have to be fully voice acted cutscenes to explain every little thing. I would be perfectly fine if there was just like, you know, you go to this new combat zone and it's like a busted up laboratory or something, and there's notes on the floor and you can look at the notes and read what it says, and like even like tidbits like that I'm fine with, because that gives purpose, you know, gives things to do, the people to go out of their way to explore and find out information. I think a lot of people who enjoy doing the lore stuff, like Zeomantic and stuff, I'm sure that they would love that type of stuff. And for lazy people like myself, I would just wait until they make their video and be like, oh shit, cool.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So that's good stuff. All right, so before we end the podcast, is there any other topics you want to discuss before we end the podcast first?
I just one final thing. Do you think Summoner is going to be here anytime soon?
I think Summoner will come out after Cavaris. I think level 60, right? We get level 60 cap at Cavaris, and then we get Summoner. And then, so the question for me, the thing that I'm thinking about is, will we get the Gunblade class before the end of this year? That is the main question that's running through my mind. There's no doubt in my mind that we're getting Summoner before the end of the year. That's like guaranteed, at least in my opinion, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, what about you?
I think Summoner is probably going to be somewhere in between Cavaris and Volcano. Probably, it's definitely not going to release with Cavaris, because I mean they would have said it at this point. But yeah, I think Summoner is probably going to be either right in between or kind of leaning towards the end of like chapter 3's kind of like life. And then we'll probably see the Gunblade class kind of after chapter 4, or even at the release of chapter 4, maybe. But yeah, I doubt that's going to be this year. It's probably going to be at the beginning or kind of midway point of next.
Gotcha. Yeah, for sure. All right, so all right, so that is time. We you know, we're running a little bit longer than usual for the podcast, but yeah, Criticaster, do you have any last words you'd like to say? Any shout outs? The floor is yours.
We have a lot of great streamers on Twitch. I myself, CriticasterQ on chip 3 is what I mainly play on, but I do have characters on chip 2 and 1 that I occasionally play. I have the YouTube channel, same name as well. And then you can also catch me on Twitter, where I do a whole bunch of ramblings and whatever else. But yeah, that is it from me. It was an amazing podcast. I didn't think we would talk this long, but yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Well, all right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for today's video. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.
Special thanks to all the members for supporting the channel. It really means a lot to me. Thank you again.
What can I say except you're welcome? for the heals that boosts the rest.